Hello my lovelies, and welcome to another video by me, your one and only, truly, Ned. This video is going to be just another sort of how to use it, how I use it at least. I know I'm not the best player in the world, but nonetheless, these are my thoughts on this particular troop. This particular one would be this guy, the giant skeleton. He was someone who I didn't like when he was a lower level. But now I am beginning to really enjoy using him. He's working quite well with the deck that I am showing you at my trophy level, which is about 25 to 2600. Currently I'm sitting at 2450, so I guess I'm a little bit lower than I had anticipated. But it is what it is. I did a lot of dropping whenever I try out these new decks to show y'all some of these cards, so I'm still getting my way back up, but that's okay. This is the deck that I used for this guy, and let's go ahead and show you how I like to use him. I did kind of a split pushing technique with him that I thought worked pretty darn well, and let's go ahead and take a look at this first one. So we're playing this individual TK in the clan Adult Clashers, because we all like to be adults. That's always a very good thing. And I start out by placing him on the right side along with a Valkyrie. The reason I place that Valkyrie next to him is just to clear any individual troops that try and get to him, goblin, skeletons, things of that nature. Plus she's pretty tanky, and that right there is truly the reason I appreciate this particular tank. It will get you where it needs to go, and then when it does die, it defeats everything around it, and it does enough damage that people will try and place quite a few troops to defend against it. So I took the hog and the freeze spell along with the giant skeleton for the purpose of trying to split push. So what I would do is I would typically drop that giant skeleton on one side and allow my opponent to defend against it, and then I would continue on the other side with a hog. Now unfortunately for me, he had that minion horde, which does quite a bit of damage to that skeleton, and I wasn't able to do too terribly much against him. But as you can see, I still get to this tower. That tower still does damage, and that's exactly what I want, is to continue getting that damage. That bomb did about 150 damage, and so when it dies, it takes out all the troops, and it does damage to that turret. So again, I'm using that hog, and my freeze is almost up, and I'm not quite able to use it, but it is what it is, and I continue on my way. And this is another really good thing that you can do, is using that freeze defensively. I actually talked about that previously in another video, my Do It Like the Pros video. And so I've actually started doing that a little bit more, which is why I took it on this one. It can be used offensively with that hog and also defensively, just like I just used it. So at this point, I think he's, low on elixir. And so I get that hog. Unfortunately, my freeze is too late. That's all that matters. And here you see me trying to pull. You see all the troops coming down are attacking me right there. And I'm trying to get them to not attack the tower. Instead, I want them to attack the person who I play in the middle. If you have not watched Orange Juice's videos on pulling and some elixir costs, I highly recommend it. I don't know the guy from Adam, but the videos that I did see of him were quite fantastic. I learned quite a bit, and I've been trying to implement them myself. So again, I freeze all those troops, get the damage done on the tank, and use those arrows on all the little minions, just so I can continue on that other side, defend, while my giant skeleton's continuing on towards the tower. So that was one game with the giant skeleton. Let's go ahead and look at another one. As you can see, this one was against a clanmate. You can see the trophy disparity on the top against Pymonade, so we're going to ignore that one. But you can see that I did have some defeats with this. I had a total of 2 defeats and 3 victories at my trophy level. So it does work. Of course, it didn't always work, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and look at this 2-1 video. This guy had a legendary card. Legendary cards are always a bit annoying, and I dislike them immensely. And he also had that stupid goblin hut spawning those spear goblins, which we all know is immensely annoying. So he freezes my hog, and then I freeze him, and I get some decent damage down. But because I know he used that freeze spell, I know that he's not going to be able to freeze my goblins. So I go ahead and put them off to the side to try and do some damage to that hog. And he actually ends up a little bit, well, better off on that trade, because his tower is about 50%, while mine's at about 40%. So here, of course, I continue on that side, and now, damn, he's got a frickin' Inferno Tower. But on the bright side, when that Inferno Tower goes down, or when my giant skeleton goes down, I get damage done on that tower. So luckily from that push, I have 2 turrets that are down, got some damage to it, while he's only got 1. I focus on that princess just because she's a pain, and my goblins turn around. Unfortunately, he's got that turret, but I've got both turrets of his now on either side down to about 50%. So the total damage is about equal, so that's okay. So I know I can still win. I still have my magical bomb, which is awesome. I get that knight down, let him do some pushing, and then continue on down. And at this point, I'm getting extremely annoyed by that stupid Inferno Tower. It always does really good work against tanks, but I'm able to kill it and almost get to the tower. He gets a couple hits off on the tower, dies, and we go from 845 to dead, actually. Plus, so I was able to get quite a bit of damage done on that, and that made me exceedingly happy, like it would. At this point, he drops 2 high damage troops, and they're still over by his tower. So I use that rocket to try and take them all out, and I only get 1, but that's okay because that princess is pretty easy to deal with. I have the arrows, and she's down for the count. And I've got that right tower pretty low. I still have quite a bit of health on that left one, and he is just setting up for defense at this point. So I'm just doing everything I can to try and help my giant skeleton, and I don't get any damage done on that tower. And that puts us into overtime. So at this point now he's got those 2 goblin huts, which we always get annoyed with. And so I do a little bit of damage to the tower and really let my Valkyrie survive by doing that. The Inferno Tower goes down, and I'm able to get that second tower. So again, this is more to me a deck where you want to try and defend and attack from both sides, make them keep guessing, and use that giant skeleton to sort of attract defense, because when it dies, it blows up everybody who does kill it and defends against it. If you're able to protect it a little bit, get it to the tower, it does a significant bit of damage. And he's got good health stats, and when he dies, he does 957 damage. Quite a bit of damage. That is actually insane. So if you just get him to the tower, that's all she wrote. So this is the deck I used with it, and it performed adequately. I'm sure that there might be better options, some slightly different cards you might be able to put with it. The elixir cost is somewhat high, but I think that it was still a pretty good usage of it. Maybe sub out that rocket for another card, maybe a fireball or something along those lines. But I think with this deck, when you're attacking from both sides, having that rocket at the last minute to, get the towers low enough and then nab them with the rocket, I think it would be an excellent tactic. So that's how I use how I would use the giant skeleton. It's how I've seen it used against me quite a bit, and it's been pretty successful against me. And it's always a pain to deal with because you need quite a few troops to get that giant skeleton down. And unless you place them correctly and get them behind the giant skeleton, he just kills all your troops. So anyways, that's the giant skeleton. Hopefully you like this video. Like it, comment, and come back and watch next time. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.